Successful people learn how to make their mind work for them. I'm David Nagel, and this is the Successful Mind Podcast.
You have to be mighty in the mundane. I was thinking, what's interesting about this is that if you remove what it is that actually is happening and you just look at, here's something, here's a challenge that happens. Challenges happen every day to everyone. And we often think of ourselves as we have this vision, we have this desire, we have this dream. We're destined for greatness. We're absolutely destined for greatness. There is the question in a person's mind, am I going to do something with my life? Why am I even here? What's the purpose? And then people continue to ask those questions. And as they ask those questions, it's like more and more doors open up in the mind and they start moving toward different things. They start to be aware that there might be something else. There might be a little bit more. And during all of this time, they're doing the work that they're doing, whatever it might be. And it often might be mundane work. If you study biographies, self-help books, any of the religions, the Bible, the Bhagavad Gita, if you get into and you start reading this stuff, if you take a step back, you notice something very interesting. Whoever wrote all these different pieces of literature was writing down things that happened basically as they happened. So what we're seeing is what's happening in the moment. What they're not writing about is when something's not happening. And we are always looking for where we're going, what do we have to do, how am I going to get there? But we forget about the days, the minutes, the hours, the days, the weeks, the months, sometimes the years, when it doesn't appear like anything is happening. And we're showing up every day and we're doing whatever work that we're doing. And what we don't really consider is how important our behavior is during these times. You might be destined for greatness, but you had to go clean up a pile of dog crap in the yard. Or you had to get the children off to school, or one of the kids couldn't find their other sock, or the dog peed on the floor, or somebody's calling you with some mundane crisis in their life, and it's being interjected into this moment in your life. And these times are just as important, and in many cases, even more important than when we're consciously doing the thing that we were put here to do. And I find that very often people get impatient during these times. If something doesn't happen every day that's obvious for them, that's moving them forward, and something goes wrong in your day, it's kind of like, how dare this happen when I'm on purpose, when I'm going for the greatness in my life? And we get a little bit of entitlement, we get a little bit like spoiled brats once in a while, not really considering that our behavior with little things is really being tested for our behavior with big things. If we don't know how to show up in the little things in our life, the mundane things in our life, we're not going to show up well when the dream does come. You're being prepared for your dream. You were not born into your dream. I was driving into the office this morning, and I remember a couple of specific moments when I was a kid and I was working at McDonald's, and I used to open the store in the morning. And in the winter time, especially like on a Sunday when it's not really busy out on the streets. You'd have a fresh snowfall that happened overnight. Everything would be really quiet. You know how it's really quiet when you get that snow because the snow absorbs all the sound? I would be the only one at the store. There was almost like this really cool peacefulness that you'd be with for a little while before all the action started to happen. And I remember many times when I was shoveling snow around the doors and throwing snow melt out on the sidewalks, and I was the only person there. And I would think to myself, I wonder where I'm going to be when I'm 30. I wonder where I'm going to be when I'm 40, or when I'm 50, or when I'm 60, or when I'm 70, or when I'm 80. I wonder what my life is going to be like. I had this feeling that it would be something that was different than just the normal life that we see, or the normal life that I was growing up in, I was being raised in. And I thought, I wonder how different I'm going to have to be when I live that life versus the life that I'm living now. And my father was all about, he was kind of like do it right the first time type of a person, very much the way Steph's father was. She had many lessons around, you got to do it right, you got to do it right the first time. And I thought, I can't wait to get there. How many of us have had that I can't wait to get there? Like, I just want to get there already. But we forget the importance of when we have to do the mundane things in our life and how significant it is in the way that we show up. Really thinking to ourselves, how do I need to behave? Who do I need to be in the moment of the moments of life that don't seem to really be very significant? We want to live a dream, but very often we're behaving like a servant. We're not really behaving like the king or the queen that we are, or that we really strive to be. So we have to learn to function within the dream, within the reality of our dream. We have to learn to function within the reality of our dream, because if we don't do that, we will find that we're bringing old attitudes, or as Leland Van Vanderwall would say, he called it habitudes, where however we are as a child, in the way that we think, in the way that we behave, we're bringing into this place of greatness, and it doesn't wash. It just does not wash. The two things don't make good bed partners. There is a complete mismatch there. So we have to be thinking to ourselves, how do I need to think about what I'm doing now with the idea of greatness, as if I was totally thrust into my dream made purely manifest in my life? And then remember this: nothing moves until you speak. Nothing moves until you speak. You may even want to write that one down. Our words are so powerful that we really don't give much credit to the idea that what we're speaking out of our mouth every day is either speaking life into something, or it's speaking death into something. There's no middle ground in this area. And if I'm thinking to myself, why am I doing this? Why am I having to deal with these little problems? Or why am I having to go over learning things that I don't like, and getting frustrated with it? And we literally begin to start to speak that frustration in all of the things that we're doing every day. We make the grave error of thinking that what we're doing doesn't matter because we don't see how it's connected to the great thing that we want to do. We think that cleaning up the dog crap, taking out the garbage, washing the car, going to the grocery store, doing the laundry, whatever the mundane things are that are in your life that we all have to do every day to some extent, we don't see how they're connected to this great thing that we want to manifest in our life. And it's all connected. It's all connected. One thing flows right into another. And if we don't pay attention to how we're showing up with the small things, we're going to completely miss it with the big things. We will show up immature into the place that we say that we want to be. And I also believe it causes great delays in getting there. It really causes great delays in where it is that we want to go. Because behind it, if you think to yourself, well, I shouldn't have to do this. This is absolutely ridiculous. Where is that idea coming from? Like you have to ask, where is that idea coming from? But then we'll also find ourselves going, you know what? I just don't understand why I keep having these negative thoughts. Why do I keep procrastinating? Why do I keep trying to get my income up and it doesn't seem to be moving? Or it goes up, but then it comes back down. Why am I experiencing things in my life that seem to be the struggle when we hear about the idea of ease? When we start focusing on those thoughts, when we really give some light to those thoughts, we're expressing in one way the thing that we don't really want to do. And we have to ask ourselves, why don't we want to do it? What is underneath of that expression? What is underneath of the way that I'm experiencing the different things that are in my life? Many times it's fear. Many times it's insecurity. Many times it is a self-reflection of something about ourselves that we just don't want to look at because it's too painful or upsetting. You know, if you look at the first three human needs, you have love, security, self-esteem, and significance there. We kind of overlook the power of significance in the aspect of how does that really play a role in where I'm going. We want to feel significant, but are we really doing something that justifies actually being significant? We want to have somebody else say we're significant, but are we actually doing something that justifies being significant? If I'm complaining, if I am causing problems, if I am being disagreeable, if I really am bitter about the fact that I have to do something over and over again because either it wasn't right the first time or we're in a test period for whatever it is that we're doing. I see people get really very frustrated with the idea of testing because they want something now and they're not really running the business from a psychological aspect of the maturity that is required for it to be great. It's like we want some magical thing to happen where I get it right the first time, every time, and that it doesn't work that way. It does not work that way. Things have to be done and conditioned over a period of time so that we actually can learn. So when we see ourselves in these small areas of our life and we're showing up whiny, so to speak, in those areas, we really need to check ourselves. Going back to the idea of what I'm doing seems like it has nothing to do with where I'm going is an incorrect thought. It is a completely incorrect thought. What are the things that you're doing every single day that you get frustrated with or don't particularly like to do that you think it has nothing to do with where you're going? Ask yourself, what is the energy that you have around those things? What's actually going on in your mind? Do you think that you're too good for it? Do you think that it's beneath you? Because if you don't understand what the energy is that's actually behind these things, you're going to miss the place of growth for yourself when it comes to what's my next step? How come I'm not growing? You've heard me say many times, whenever we're stuck in some place, but it doesn't seem to be apparent as to what it is, we have to ask ourselves, what am I resisting? What am I actually resisting in my psychology, my emotions, my behavior, my surroundings? Because the universe holds nothing back from you. It is always for flow, because that's more life. More life is the natural flow of life through life itself, through the idea of living, through the idea of creation. The perpetual law of transmutation of energy is the flow of energy. It is always moving from a higher potential to a lower potential and back again. Not meaning that either one is a bad or a good thing. It's just the direction of that flow and how it works in our life. Where are you with the flow in your life? Where are you with the different things that become apparent to you that it says, well, I'm not there yet? And how does it affect your self-esteem? Does it cause you to think to yourself, am I never going to get there? Am I not good enough? Because if it does, we have to check that and realize that there are so many moments in our life where it appears that nothing is actually happening. And in most cases, that's when major things are actually happening. You know, you've got the law of gender, the idea of cause and effect. You plant a seed one day, and then there is a time that has to elapse for that harvest to actually come in. In that time of waiting is where a great seed of doubt can occur in a person's mind if you're not careful. So you have to be mighty in the mundane, not average, not just showing up, but mighty, just as strong and magnificent in the cleaning up of the dog poop as you are in making the big sales deal or landing the great contract or making your monthly income or your annual income a monthly income. As mighty as you want to be and as you want to live and you want to receive in your life, bring that same energy to every single thing that you're doing, and realizing that just because you're not seeing it doesn't mean that it's not happening. In fact, if we come from the awareness perspective, it has to be happening. It has to be happening. It's on its way to you. The thought, the idea, the opportunity, the people, whatever it might be. So don't drop down into a lower energy just because it's not something that's fun and exciting, but bring your back energy up to that place where you are your own king or queen in life. You are a mighty force to be reckoned with every single thing that you do.
Thanks for listening to the Successful Mind podcast. And if you like what you heard and you want to know more, go to davidnagel.com/free stuff.